Hello, hello. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, September 30th. If you can believe it, it's the last day of September 2025. We are going into the fourth and final quarter of the first year of 4 of Donald Trump's second and I believe final term in office.
Let's hope so.
Not sure. I'm not really sure. I'm Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You are tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI show for short, because obviously we bring you way too much information. We're live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, and the share button so you can help our little show continue to grow. On today's show, so there's this whole government shutdown thing that's looming, Ted. After the stroke of midnight. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is playing commander-in-chief at this big Pete Hegseth, what it turns out to be is a big flex and pep rally for anti-DEI military that's happening right now. But the government is due to shut down, like within 14 hours, basically.
It will.
So yeah, I think it will. I think that's what's going to happen tonight. Also, I'm going to leave this as a question mark. Gaza Peace Deal? It's question mark. I don't believe that's a thing. But we'll go over Trump's 20-point plan for a Gaza peace deal, where Ted, it seems like, according to his truthing on Truth Social, he has appointed himself the not commander in chief, like the arbiter of the future of Gaza. He's like the Gaza chief if this deal happens. So that'll be interesting. And then our main topic, kissing cousins in the UK. Believe it or not,
right?
I believe
kissing cousins, and that's what makes it all right, all right, all right. The Saints from Australia, punk band from the late 70s, do an amazing cover of that song.
No. Let's not support that like the National Health Service over in the UK. I'm vehemently opposed to this, as is Robbie, believe it or not, our in-house Southerner. Despite what people say about people of the South, Robbie is against that. And we'll explain why the UK is doing this. As like I said, our military brass is doing like this anti-DEI thing happening right now at Quantico. Meanwhile, the National Health Service in the UK is doing this super, like, gotta be sensitive, pro, DEI, sensitive to all these other cultures, including making it okay to marry and procreate with your first cousin. This is a true story. We'll get into that. And last but not least, if there's time, if ever there was a question that Kash Patel is a derp, this one is it. Maybe he is the offspring of kissing cousins.
That's possible.
It's possible. I mean, have you seen the look in his eyes sometimes?
He can always become a stand-up comedian if this whole FBI thing doesn't work out.
He really does have that look.
He's got those eyes like the.
Yeah, he really has, like, it's hard to explain, but he really does have, like, there's something going on here in the eyes where he seems, there's a shtick going on there almost. Are you really like this? Are you really a lawyer? Were you really a DOJ lawyer for like 15 years? Like, is that possible? Were you DEI? Did you get that job from and now you're FBI? I don't know.
Well, political appointments are just a form of DEI, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hello, we have Ambassador Kim Guilfoyle to Greece.
For example.
What? Kim Guilfoyle is an expert in Greek culture?
Well, she may have eaten at a Greek diner at some point.
That's true. Yeah. I do love Greek salads.
Mm-hmm.
That can make me a Greek cultural expert. Much like Kim Guilfoyle. But we'll explain why Kash Patel is guaranteed. He's a derp.
Yeah,
he's a derp.
He's the mega derp.
He
He's
is,
the derpiest derp of all derps.
and Ted, today in history, and I do mean, oh, I lost Ted. Today in history, I don't know where Ted went. Ted, why are you laughing? There's Ted.
I banished him. It's because of that. It's because that stupid Apple. He's got that Apple Magic Mouse, and
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
know.
literally, if you just move it like too quick, it like slides your screen. I've even tried to change my settings so it won't do that, but it won't let me.
You know, Ted, you can't just get just a regular mouse like this, and that will
What does
solve
your mouse
all
look
those
like, Ted?
problems.
It's like this.
It's a Magic
A
Mouse. It
flat-
has a little,
Oh, that.
yeah, it's
Oh,
an
I see.
inferior overpriced piece of technology that deserves to be taken out and shot.
It's very
Robbie is
aesthetic.
correct. Well, it's
Yes.
not the mouse that's the issue. It's the iOS that's the issue.
Well, it's because
Because-
you're on a
Real-
it's
no,
because you're on a
But
Mac.
the function of
Yeah.
the mouse, it's also like flat and pretty, and there's no like division between left and right. Like, where
I
do
also,
you
but I will
have a-
say, I
do
hate
you
wire.
have a thing? a
no,
scrolly
because
thing?
it's a Mac. You don't have that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Oh, so it's like a
So-
touchpad, like you roll the.
Yeah. So this is a little Logitech mouse, little Logitech
Yeah.
gaming mouse. It will work for other things besides gaming, Ted. And
Oh, I'm
so
aware.
I strongly
Mine's a little
recommend that you get
Logitech
one.
too.
It solves that problem.
So you guys are both PC people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, for
Well,
me, it's legacy, because when I started out as buying my first computers, I was only Photoshop didn't run on PC. So if you were a cartoonist, you kind of had to have a Mac, and they only added PC later. And by then, I was like, it's trapped in the Mac ecosystem.
Oh, yeah. Well,
well,
no,
think-
I get why, and it's really
For
pretty.
graphic artists, are all on Mac, because at least older ones, because of that. You don't need to
Yeah.
be now, but
I get that.
Well, I'm a gamer, so unless I'm going to stream Solitaire or maybe Minesweeper, I got to have a PC because, well, frankly, Macs they
you
suck
need,
at that.
you get more. Yeah, there's more power per dollar in a PC.
Huh.
Sure.
Yeah,
A
no,
lot
for
more.
sure.
For that. Okay. Well, since both of you are on, and we're talking about computers anyway. What's happening today? Literally today in history, we're marking computer history right now as we speak. AOL is ending its dial-up service today after more than 35 years. The decision announced last month marks the end of a service once synonymous with accessing the internet. You remember the sound?
Well, Peter over on Rumble, Ted, says that the Democrats, they're hacking the feed because they really don't like you. So it's
Oh,
the
I know they don't
Democrats
like me.
who are trying just to
That's
banish
probably
you.
true too.
That's true. That's
So-
probably, that could be, except for the Democrats
Wait,
have no
we-
power anymore to do anything.
We gotta finish the AOL thing. When the company then called America Online launched dial-up in 1989, it was among the first. The approach used a modem to convert computer data into audio signals, which could then travel over phone lines. The dial-up tone was so ubiquitous in the 1990s that it was considered part of the soundtrack of the decade, with the service inspiring Nora Ephron's 1998 rom-com hit, You've Got Mail. That's right, Ted. At its height in 1999, AOL boasted over 18 million subscribers with a market cap of $222 billion. Mind you, this was 1999. Broadband internet overtook dial-up in the mid-2000s, thousands of times faster than the service's 56 kilobits per second speed. Still, roughly 163,000 Americans relied on AOL in 2023. The company today
in
offers
remote areas.
email, media, and data services. So,
Yeah,
Ted,
it's
is
a
this going to be like the payphone? Like you were complaining how,
Yeah.
like in rural areas, like
No, this is going to be a real problem for people in remote places. They're literally going to lose internet access entirely.
wow.
So it's not a good thing. I think the government should probably take over that service and just. So there's Iridium is a satellite. I don't know if they're still around, but it's a satellite phone company. And for a long time, this it was very unprofitable, and it was going to go out of business. The CIA bought it because they needed their agents in the field needed satellite phones. So they were like, we can't have this service go down. So, because satellite phone works anywhere where you have access to the sky, right? So basically, they and it was a very expensive proposition. I think the CIA and the American taxpayer paid, I think, $24 billion for that acquisition. But the point is, I think this is something that it's a government service. Also, I should point out that dialing into a computer by modem predates 1989. When I was in college in the early 80s.
Did Dr. Shiva say he invented email? So when
yeah, maybe he invented his own ego, maybe. But like I think it was 1983 when my friend Rob showed me in his dorm room that like contraption where you put the whole old-fashioned Ma Bell phone receiver into a contraption with two holes, and then
yes,
and then it would dial in. So I'm sure it predated that. So.
Oh yes. Okay. Well, this marks the end of an era. 35 years of this particular service. I do agree with you, Ted, that I think it's
by the way, I have
idea.
an AOL story that I have to tell. So
especially Ted, because under the Biden administration, rural development, right, under Deb Haaland, she was the Native American woman that was in charge of like rural dev. So they allocated like 20, 30, 40 million dollars per year.
Back.
Oh, is he back?
Right here. Ancient.
What the hell?
This was my very first computer. This is where I learned how to do computers on. This is a TRS-80 Coco 2.
Sure fucking is. That was my first computer.
That is what this thing is. This is what I learned.
The programs were stored on cassette tape.
They were, and I've got the cassette tape. There were no floppy disks. And the reason why I showed y'all
those came later.
Yes, the reason why I'm showing y'all this is because this is what I learned on. This is where Robbie got started doing his computer stuff.
I had one of those when I was 15 years old, I think, 1978 maybe.
Yeah. This
wow.
is
you bought it at Radio Shack.
You did.
I did not have one of those.
The RS is for Radio Shack.
I actually got that one.
I think it's Tandy Radio Shack, right?
Yeah, so it's Tandy. So, I actually got that one. That was given to me by a guy who owned a pawn shop because
wow.
I was doing some work for him. I mean, I had a pretty rough childhood growing up, so I was looking for little odd jobs to be able to do. Well, this guy's like, here, I'm going to help you learn a skill. And so he gave me this computer and a book to learn what's called GW Basic. Mm-hmm. Well, here's what's fun about TRS-80s. They had a command called kill. Killed exactly what it sounded like. It killed things. And so I used my modem and I dialed into this parts warehouse called Stuart C. Irby in Pensacola, Florida. And I was screwing around, and it was using Windows 3.11. Just kind of going in. I was looked at all the invoices. I was reading everything. So I wonder if the GW Basic kill command will work on this network. It did. I killed their entire network. I deleted everything.
Evil hacker.
So you were an evil black hat hacker.
Proto-anonymous.
In the early 90s? Is that what? Well,
oh, yeah. Hey, it was. Well, I didn't know if it was going to work or not.
I did hack into the Columbia University mainframe so I could change my friends' grades for them for a fee.
Oh, my God.
I used to break in. I would break into the power company.
Happening.
I would break into the power company and I would change the cost of the power bill to $5 a month.
It was really easy to do shit like that back then.
All you had to do was go through the mail spool. It was freaking awesome.
It was so easy. Like no muss, no
And this
fuss.
is like done on dial-up so you can, could it be 100%. Tracked?
Yeah, and Casey's always just like, Robbie, why are you keeping this antiquated piece of technology?
Because it's an artifact.
It's
a beautiful thing.
Well, it is. And the Robbie that
did that thing plug to dial-up, Robbie?
By the way, that's a keyboard that you could pound on like a typewriter keyboard.
Yeah, so the way it would work, let me see here. So the way it would work is that right here, this is the slot where you put in the modem. So the modem plug in right here, and then you plug in your phone lines, and then you're good to go.
Oh, wow.
And that's how this thing worked. I mean, this is where your favorite white supremacist Nazi got his start. This is where Robbie came from.
Wow.
Inside the bowels of a TRS-80.
Well,
that's it.
So I have an AOL story to tell. So you remember
Deb Haaland did nothing. Hold on, you guys. We let Robbie jump in, and I didn't get to finish the Deb Haaland thing.
All right,
so Deb Haaland was supposed to give internet access to all these rural places because I suspect that AOL probably told the Biden administration that they're going to sunset, right? I imagine, right? All these tech
Yeah, no,
companies.
AOL's been threatening to do this for years.
Yeah.
I think I
So-
first heard them make noise about this like 10 years ago.
Right. So Deb Haaland was in charge of rolling out rural development internet service and Elon Musk was saying, I'll give you guys Starlink, but they were like, no, we're going to do our own. We're going to bury the wires and do whatever. Right. Anyway, like $20
Starlink
million
probably
a year.
causes all the cancers too.
Oh my God. So $100 million plus later, after 4 years of Biden, precisely, I think half a dozen farmers got internet, Ted, in America's heartland.
By the way, this is the opposite of the way things were handled in France. In the early days of the internet, they had something called Minitel, which was everyone received an identical computer screen, really cute, multicolor, unlike the TRS-80, which was a LED screen, white on black. But the Minitel was particularly for farmers, and so farmers in the middle of rural France could track the prices of commodities on the various global exchanges, the weather forecast. This was in the 70s. They could talk to each other. They could negotiate deals. And then people started creating like online dating in the early 80s. And all of that stuff it goes back. So like when you hear millennials like, oh, we're the first generation to grow up with computers, it's like blow me.
No.
Gen X grew up with computers.
Did you remember
some young boomers too?
Ted, do you remember news groups?
Of course.
News groups, bulletin boards.
Like rec.arts.comic strips was where I used to go.
Yeah, because you could go there, and then you could go to what they called BBSs, bulletin boards. And so typically you had a time limit about how long you're able to be on there.
Yeah, it was called Usenet. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you could just go through and you could just grab whatever that you wanted. And that back then was when the internet was fun. I missed it.
Fun. I missed that too. By the way, speaking of fun, so I'm going to tell my story. So remember when your AOL would come up and it'd go, you got that screen that says you got mail. It had the AOL logo, which was a sort of a semicircle inside of a triangle. And if you clicked that triangle, so I got a call from John Scalzi. John Scalzi is now a very, very famous sci-fi writer. He won a Hugo Award, at least one or maybe two. But he's a very famous sci-fi writer. But he was the editor of AOL's creative team. At the time, I was a big deal in cartooning. He calls me up and he arranged for me to do the Easter egg. So if you accidentally clicked on the AOL logo, that big triangle, you'd get a cartoon by Ted Rall. Or if it was like a different day of the week, you might get like a cartoon by Gary Larson or whatever, just for AOL. And you'd only find it. It was an Easter egg. It was an accident. They said that they found a lot of people clicked the logo accidentally and they wanted to give them a little reward. I mean, come on, think how fun that is, right? I mean, no company would do that now. The other reason that AOL took off, remember they ate CompuServe's lunch because CompuServe had like your email address was like a long string of numbers at CompuServe.
Right.
And like no one, like how could you remember anyone's email address? You couldn't, right?
Yeah. Oh, now I've got a story because y'all remember ABC's Good Morning. We don't care about
make it fast. Make it fast.
We don't care about no. But the show's off the rails. We're doing this
totally.
They were talking about on Joan London. I remember this. Getting ready, just watching TV in the morning, and they had this internet expert come on about AOL and the dangers of online pornography. So if you want to find pornography, all you have to do is go on AOL and then just type in these search phrases. So this woman's telling every freaking horny teenage boy in the world how to go find porn on AOL. And that's when I first realized that mainstream media is retarded. Because if you're concerned about online pornography and minors getting a hold of it, probably the one thing you don't want to do on live television on ABC's Good Morning America with Joan London is go through and give step-by-step directions on how to find pornography online.
And that's how all the boys found it?
Let me tell you, even before porn on the internet, I saw my first porn
For
match
back then?
when I was 7
Oh,
years
yeah.
old. When one of my classmates brought his dad's, hustlers to George L. Ernst Elementary School. So, I remember hanging out by the merry-go-round.
7?
Yeah.
By the little
And so-
carousel. Yeah.
And so
And I
Rumble
was like,
likes.
oh man, women have a lot of hair between their legs because it was 1970.
Yeah.
So, and they did.
Yeah, and Rumble clearly likes us talking about porn because this gave us an ad. So do you want me to go and
Oh
take care of that now?
God.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do it, Robbie. You're
Let's
already
just
there.
go ahead. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. It's gonna be freaking hilarious. Hold on one second. Come on.
Porn.
Work,
porn,
damn you.
Porn. Just say porn, and then magically you get an ad.
Yeah, pretty much. Porn.
Also,
That's it. Is
Do
it
you
gonna
remember?
work?
Do you remember the Commodore 64? Another. Of my
Oh, there we go.
favorites.
Oh, I had one. If you haven't already, make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the content you want. Once you've got it, search for our channel and hit follow or Putin by Gaming. That's my channel. That way, you'll get a notification every time we go live. No missed shows, no extra steps. You can grab it right now using the link in the description or the pinned live chat. Download it to your phone, and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble, follow the channel, and be part of the action. Sorry, you'll not find porn on Rumble.
Oh, another computer story. So I used to work for the city of Kettering, Ohio, traffic engineering department. And so traffic engineers basically are the reason that your light turns green at a certain time. And it's they're supposed to be synchronized so that as you drive down the street, the light turns green, it's just at the right time. But you also have to account for the counter, cross streets, and give the pedestrians enough time to cross the street and all that, right? Anyway, I worked on a Honeywell 77 computer that was the size of basically like a Lincoln, Navigator. It was massive, and it took punch cards. So you programmed it. So you would start with blank punch cards. You'd program it in this machine that looked like an old-fashioned telex machine with these big, thick, round keys. And then it would punch the holes in the card. Then you had to keep all the cards in order because God help you if you dropped them, you'd have to go and put them all back in order again. You kept them. Each stack of cards was a program. You wrapped up wrapped them in rubber bands, and then whenever you wanted to load it, this thing it ran on reel-to-reel, stored stuff on reel-to-reel magnetic tape, like if you think about Watergate, that kind of thing. And then you'd feed it through a sorter. It would go. It was really mechanical and very loud. And it was a great machine, man. I remember the glow of that green LED screen like it was yesterday. I mean,
Ted, did you ever used to play with black boxes with the D slams on the side of the road when you were a kid?
No.
What?
I did not.
Okay, so okay.
I did.
We gotta get going on
but
stories.
I did it in college, though. I rewired the entire campus phone system so that if you called university information, you'd get the president's office.
Oh, I did better than that. So what you could do is that the way the D slams work, they all worked off of electrical pulse. And so what a D slam is, back in the day, those little rectangular things that just stuck up on the side of the road, those are called D slams. That's where all the phone lines would be wired through. Well, what you could do is that you could build this black box and you use 4 D cell batteries. And you plug this thing in, and then what you do is that you turn it on, and then you send a reverse pulse. And so what it does, it makes every phone ring at the exact same time that's on that D slam. I blew it up. Like I took out like 3 city blocks worth of phone lines doing that with the black box back in the day. It was so much fun.
It's hard to believe that. I know you hear.
God, I missed
the
90s.
Anything like that.
No, it sucks.
You can also do other things now. They're all spearfishers now.
Well, you can also listen.
It's inelegant. Sorry, you're just fooling people.
No, for sure. Well, you can also listen to people's phone calls. So what you could do is use what's called a blue box, plug it in. You'd have a phone line, and just plug it into the lines, and then you actually hear people's conversations. The internet, things are so much more fun back then than they are now. It sucks.
It's
Okay.
true.
Well, okay. With that, and enough of these throwback computer stories. Today is marking the end of
Hey,
the
you started it.
AOL era
You
because
started it.
it's news. It's news.
Well, they still
The
offer
AOL era.
their regular mail service, email service.
Well, they have their service, yes, but the actual dial-up that launched them into, becoming like this icon of the 90s
Mhm.
that sunsets today.
And
So
and,
that's
and
it.
and the best part, I learned all this stuff from the Pensacola Public Library by checking out books that telephone technicians would use to test phone lines. All that stuff was
Wow.
available back then, just in books. It was so amazing. I miss
Well,
those
all right.
days.
Okay. With that, let's get to all the stories. Robbie banished back to producer land until we get to kissing cousins, because I don't know. Robbie's from the South. He has
cousins,
some
and that's
thoughts.
what makes it all right. All right. All right. Your
All
turn.
right, I got this first read. Read here. All right. So the government shutdown, that's looming at midnight, if you guys didn't know, like 12:01, actually. Republicans have proposed a short-term funding bill to keep the government running through November 21, but Democrats are pushing for changes tied to health care. They want to reverse those Medicaid cuts from Trump's legislation and then extend tax credits that lower insurance premiums for millions of people who buy coverage through the ACA marketplace. Now, Republicans have dismissed the demands as a non-starter. So, okay, they're at loggerheads there. Neither side appears willing to budge, and the House is not expected to hold any votes this week at all.
No.
So here's how the government shut down.
Why start now? I mean, they haven't done shit since January 20th. I mean, Trump's running the entire world by executive order.
I know. So here's what happens when the shutdown happens, inevitably in roughly 13 and a half hours. So when funding lapses, federal law requires agencies to halt operations and furlough these so-called non-accepted employees, or like, as we called them during COVID, the non-essentials. Accepted employees typically include workers who protect life and property. They remain on the job, but will go unpaid until the shutdown is actually over, which basically sucks. So you keep showing up and you're not getting a paycheck. It's an IOU. So you got
Abe
FBI
Lincoln put an
agents.
end. I thought Abe Lincoln put an end to that whole
I
work
guess
no
not.
pay thing.
I guess not. So you got FBI agents like Kash Patel, I guess. Does he count? Does he have to show up? CIA officers.
He doesn't deserve to be paid.
Like, thank God Kash Patel is an essential worker, Ted. Thank God. CIA officers, we don't know how much they get paid anyway because we don't know anything about their budgets, but they have to show up to work, whatever that means. Air traffic controllers, airport security personnel, they all continue to work during shutdowns. So do members of the armed forces. Programs funded through mandatory spending generally continue during a shutdown. Social security checks still get sent out. Seniors with Medicare can still visit doctors. They can submit claims. They can receive reimbursements. Veterans health care continues. The VA, their medical centers, all the outpatient stuff, that remains open. All the benefits are still processed. Those are still delivered. Burials will continue at all the national cemeteries. The U.S. Postal Service, not affected by a government shutdown. It operates independently and is funded through the sale of products and services, not direct tax dollars. That's interesting. And then they say in a provocative move, the White House Office of Management and Budget has threatened mass firings of federal employees if a shutdown occurs. OMB memos said programs left unfunded by Trump's spending package would be the ones hardest hit. So I've heard that this was actually that Trump was hoping for this to happen because of some of the jobs that they couldn't slash with Doge, that this was a means for them to go about and do that, because if it's what do they call it? How do they frame this up here? Things that the budgets aren't already appropriated for, then he could just be like, okay, well, you won't be appropriated for the next 4 years either. So we're just going to go ahead and nullify your job. So there's going to be a chance of mass government layoffs during the shutdown that DOJ, for whatever reason, couldn't put their fingers on. So I think it's going to happen, Ted. This can look really bad. People, federal workers here in DC, there are so many of them, and I know many of them, who 6, 7, 8 months later are just like us, laid off and still unable to find work. And they're not, in the creative fields like we are. They're like, they have other skills that other businesses might be able to employ, but somehow the job market is that bad. So it can be a really hard Christmas, Ted. We're coming into the fourth quarter. It's going to be a bad Christmas in Washington, D.C.
After a bad Doge summer, too. So, Manila, I want to be clear here that what's going on here is that, as usual, Democrats don't know how to message. So the thing is that right now, I'm one of the tens of millions of Americans who are on Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. And I just received my notice a couple weeks ago that this is the time of the year when you're supposed to renew and choose your plan for the following year. I received my notice. I had to do it. I think I had until, if I'm not mistaken, the deadline is October 15th. So the Republicans are saying, listen, we can resolve the cuts that the Medicaid cuts and the Obamacare subsidy cuts issue later in November, the next time the 6-week continuing resolution comes up.
The CR, yeah.
But the Democrats are failing to explain this very clearly. They can't wait, because if they wait 6 weeks, they'll blow through the October 15th deadline, and tens of millions of Americans will lose their health insurance for the entirety of next year. So Democrats will be held responsible at the ballot box for that. And so even though they're going to take heat for shutting down the government from the Republicans and from the media, the fact is they would take even more heat. They're in a no-win situation if they allowed they go down without a fight trying to save health insurance for basically the only major legislative achievement that they've had in 30 years, right? So Obamacare. So they have to do it. This is existential for them. They really don't have a choice. They can't not fight. So they're fighting. And so the government's going to shut down. It's going to stay shut down for a while. And the Republicans, I don't even think part of negotiating is understanding, you know what you want. But the big part of understanding is understanding what your opponent needs and figuring out a way to give it to them so that you can come to a resolution. The Republicans, I don't think, really understand that the Democrats need to have this. They have to get this. So it's the Medicaid and the ACA money has to be returned. Otherwise, Democrats can't come back to the negotiating table. But I don't know if Republicans will be willing to do that.
What leverage do the Democrats have, though?
Well, they have the 7 votes in the U.S. Senate that are needed to reopen the government. So the Republicans have 53 votes in the Senate. Nothing's going to happen there's no CR, no budget passes without 60 votes in the Senate due to the supermajority rule. So unless they get 7 Democrats to go along with the 53 Republicans, there's no budget. So the Democrats' leverage is they hold the budget hostage until the Republicans come to terms. If they have the balls to basically play this game of chicken to its logical conclusion. I think they kind of have to, but obviously we don't know who the American people will blame. I mean, this would require the Democrats to understand their self-interest and to not be giant fucking pussies. So it's that's asking a lot of Democrats, but but we will see.
Well, yeah. I mean, tangentially tied to them being big ol' wusses is the next story on Gaza, which you're doing. Look, you don't even hear any of the Democrats, not AOC, not Bernie, speaking up on Gaza. The loudest person squawking out of Capitol Hill, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes, she is. She's super interesting. The New York Times just did a big piece about her drifting away from,
So yeah,
Trump.
I think that speaks to what you're saying, Ted, about them being ballless. They got no balls, Ted. They're gonna fold.
But they also have no choice. If they decide to remain gelded, they are going to look really bad, and they're going to get. I mean, they're already going to have their asses handed to them next November anyway.
Yeah, well,
but
I think they're rudderless right now, though. Don't you think? There's who's
no leadership.
Who's really
no
who's really in
messaging.
charge? Nancy's like 1,000. She's already stepped down. She's this fake made up, speaker emerita. Like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Like,
no, it's not.
Yeah, they've got no one to whip them into shape to say,
That's
look,
true.
bitches, this is what we're doing. There's nobody to do that. So without Nancy at the helm, I don't think anything's going to happen.
No, I mean, look, I agree with you. However, this is a Senate issue, not a House issue. So it's really about Schumer.
Even still, Schumer was always second to Nancy. Nancy controlled all the purse strings on Capitol Hill. Let's be clear about that. If it's on Capitol Hill, Nancy Pelosi controlled all the money being donated to all the different Democratic, the DNC stuff, all the different like 501c3. Like Nancy Pelosi had her fingers in everything. Chuck had to go to Mama Nancy if he wanted to get some money kicked over to the Dirksen. Is that where Chuck's office is? To the Dirksen building or the Hart building? Dirksen. If he wanted some money, Chuck had to go to Nancy. Nancy controlled the purse. So, but there's nobody in charge, and Chuck Schumer is a weasel. So
that is true.
All right.
So
let's go to number two.
Two little things to talk about. First of all, we're number 11 in the nation on Rumble right now. So thank you, Rumblers.
What?
And it looks like in my neck of the wood here, we are getting hit by little earthquakes. So
in New York?
Yes, that is correct. Looks like there's a little series of them. Let me find out. Looks like the epicenter is in. Oh, it's not that close.
Well, I don't know.
This is upstate.
Stoop Dog in the Rumble chat notified us that the Philippines was just hit with a 7.0 earthquake.
Well,
just moments ago.
Not between, sort of halfway between Rochester and Buffalo, upstate New York. They're being hit by small earthquakes right now, like little.
Wait, does New York get earthquakes? No.
Yeah,
right?
I was on the air with Angie one time when an earthquake hit New York City, and it was like I literally thought that like a big truck had like driven over one of those metal plates in the street or something. All this stuff like like kathunk. And I was like, "What's that?" And it was like I got up to look. I thought it might have been a bomb. Then it was like, no, it was an earthquake. It was a small earthquake. I think it was 4.2 or something like that. But
maybe somebody's just fracking.
There's a fault line under Harlem is a fault line. 125th Street is a fault line.
What? Okay,
yeah.
This is
no.
weird.
I mean, it's the natural world, man. It's everywhere.
Okay, I didn't know that was a thing. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. All right, let's go over to Gaza. That's you.
Let's do it. Okay, so Trump's plan for Gaza calls for an immediate pause in the war that's been going on for over 2 years. It also would say that Hamas has no role whatsoever in governing Gaza. So why exactly would Hamas agree to this? Oh, they won't. If both sides were to agree to the conditions in the 20 points, the war ends, all Israeli hostages and corpses would be released within 72 hours. I refuse to say living and dead hostages, because if you're dead, you're no longer a hostage. You are a former hostage. You have left the role of hostage, and you've entered.
You've left the realm of hostagedom.
You are now a corpse. In exchange, Israel would release 250 Palestinians who are serving life sentences, along with 1,700 hostages that Israel is holding, that they took since October 7th. Let's call a hostage a hostage. These are, by the way, living hostages. The Israelis are also holding some corpses, too, hilariously, that they would return.
Oh.
The plan does not call for Israeli withdrawal. Instead, they'd pull back to a mutually agreed line inside Gaza, creating space for the release. Then all military actions would be suspended. Battle positions would remain where they are. So basically, here's kind of some of the main points. First of all, this is mainly a real estate plan for redevelopment in which Trump and his people would get to redevelop Gaza into a resort. It's just very much like the way that AI video sort of depicted, with his name on hotels and giant gold statue of him and all that sort of thing. Anyway, so Hamas would surrender. They have to give up their weapons. Anybody who wanted to leave Gaza would supposedly be allowed to leave Gaza and come back if they wanted, although Israel has never upheld such agreements in the past. So I think it's unlikely that the Palestinians would agree that. This is funny. The aid would be run through the UN, which up until now, Israel and the United States have been saying was infested with Hamas. Remember UNRWA? It's like, oh, but I guess maybe they are not infested by. Maybe that's all a lie. The only thing that the U.S. and Israel would restore is water, electricity, and sewage, hospitals, and bakeries. But if it's your house, your apartment building, your local school, you're shit out of luck. Your stores, your banks, shit out of luck. None of that stuff would ever be restored. There would be a committee called the Board of Peace, which would be run by, guess who? America's favorite president, Donald J. Trump, would be the head of the Board of Peace.
Yay! Wait, pause, Ted. You got to pause.
Indeed. And so anyway, then there would be there would be no one would be expelled. The Israelis would not annex it. However, they make no promises whatsoever not to annex the West Bank, even more than they already have. Basically, it's a take it or leave it proposal. The Palestinians had no input whatsoever. Were not consulted in any way, shape, or form. They've been told they have to accept the entire thing, hook, line, and sinker, no edits, no exceptions, within 3 days, or Israel is just going to go to town. And they say, and Bibi goes, we can do this the hard way, or we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. So there's that line again. That mafia.
It's not a mafia. It's not a mob shakedown at all, Ted.
No, not at all. So I mean, look, this is a very thinly disguised surrender treaty request. Now, here's the thing that's so funny to me. So the U.S. and Israel are asking Hamas to come out of their foxholes and surrender unconditionally, and then take it way up the ass, bend over, no lube, and they're going to get some corpses back and some live bodies back. But basically, there will be nothing like a real Palestinian state. They'll be demilitarized. The Israelis will continue to occupy it. So, Manila, here's what I don't get. Israel has lost this war. They're going to be destroyed. They're heading toward political and economic collapse within 5 years. I mean, Israel will be lucky if they even exist in 5 years. They're asking the side they lost to surrender. This is very much like when the Ukrainians asked the Russians to surrender. The Russians won. and like, okay, yes, you have flattened Gaza. Yes, you've killed 300,000 Gazans. Yes, you've caused untold misery in the West Bank. That's all true, but it's a Pyrrhic victory. You have lost, and you're literally, your only ally left now is like maybe Burundi and the U.S. and that's it. And you won't have the U.S. Pardon?
I saw at the UN, Guinea. Their
Guinea.
Delegation was sitting right below
Team
the
Guinea.
Israeli delegation, and Guinea was like, "Yay!"
Right. So Guinea. So yeah, the sacks of shekels arrived in the Guinean capital, right? But that's it. That is literally it. So I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, basically, they're just going to say, "Well, we gave them a chance. They said they didn't want peace." This is just like what the Israelis say now about the proposal that they offered Arafat. Oh, we offered a peace deal. Right. And he didn't want it. It was a completely unacceptable peace deal that no one in his position ever would have accepted. And so, of course, he didn't take it. I wouldn't have taken it. You wouldn't have taken it. Nobody would have taken it. And so this is what the Israelis want to say. It's for their fucking Hasbara talking points. And it's like everyone now knows that they suck and that they're a bunch of murderous genocidal maniacs. And so, and the latest polls show it. The American people now believe overwhelmingly that Israel is committing genocide, deliberately killing civilians in Gaza. That's overwhelming majority of both Democrats and Republicans. So, I mean, this is an absurdity. It is ridiculous. I collect political propaganda art, and I collect, including posters. I have this poster that the Nazis put up in occupied France after D-Day when they started fleeing. It would be the last poster they slapped on the wall in every village before they withdrew. And it said, listen, bitches, we're leaving for now, but one day we're going to come back and we're going to check and we will expect that you have followed all German rules and regulations while we were gone.
Wow.
That's kind of like what this is like. It's just like it's the dying gasp of a dying regime.
Yes. Scary Girl in the Rumble Room brings up a good point. Like, what's the deal with not only, Trump being the new board, the president of the board of the new Gaza
board
board
of peace, the best peace, the most beautiful peace.
But then he assigns Tony Blair. He's pulling him out of retirement, bringing him out of retirement to do what exactly?
This is all about. Gaza. So it's okay. So the model here is, you know how the Clintons developed and raped Port-au-Prince, Haiti, with the Clinton Foundation. That's exactly the same type of scheme that the Trumpies and Tony Blair are going to be involved in. Yeah, Tony Blair is, he's the British Bill Clinton. He is the British Bill Clinton, right? He is exactly Bill Clinton. So they're going to go in and develop Gaza and rape it economically the way, if they get their way. I mean, none of this is going to happen.
They're gonna get their way. Ted.
They're not going to get their way. Hamas is.
I don't know how they're not.
I'm Hamas right now in Qatar, I'm laughing my fucking ass off, popping the champagne. They just have to figure out a good way to message it, but they haven't responded at all, which is really clever.
I don't know how
actually,
this shakes out. I really don't know how this shakes out. Bibi yesterday, immediately as soon as Trump put out the press release, Bibi yesterday was like, "Yes, I support this peace deal. Obviously, the Hamas terrorists do not want peace. I am already coming out and saying I accept this deal. And by the way, Doha, Israel is sorry for bombing you."
Yeah. Well, Trump made him pick up the phone and call the Qataris while he was there. Call them up and apologize. Make nice.
Bibi, just go ahead and call them. Just make nice with them. I'll make the most beautiful deal, the best deal. Just go ahead and call them first.
Falala is asking, did we talk about Trump RX? I saw the headline fly by, but I haven't read about it yet.
Oh,
no.
The Pfizer. Yeah, that's he says he's got a deal with Pfizer going on. That's just breaking that he's going to do like a price cut with specifically to Pfizer drugs. So we don't know. We don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, because remember there's like Medicare cuts that he was juggling at the first quarter of his presidency. He was saying like there's going to be these Medicaid cuts and Medicare cuts, and now he's saying we're doing
that's all
Pfizer
in the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, so I don't know what this Pfizer deal is going to look like, so maybe we'll look into it for tomorrow. But today, that's the Gaza thing is hilarious. The 20-point plan. You guys can go look that up. And speaking of the Brits, Tony Blair, that leads us to our main topic, which is weird and fucking gross. Ted, I'm going to leave this for you because Ted has his own cousin stories. I don't know if he's going to.
Yes, which I may or may not share.
I do not have any cousin story. Like, I have a huge family.
I do have cousin stories. All right, here we go.
So you have a small, family, Ted. You have a small family, right?
I have really. Well, there's only two cousins who I had other cousins
that you know.
I didn't know them, but I had two cousins that I knew, both French. And yeah,
so your mom's
and they're both very. I mean, one's older, one's younger, and I definitely had the hots for the younger one, even though she was dumb as a stone. But she was so cute, but dumb. The other one's smart, but like kind of severe. And anyway,
Well,
the,
my mom is
the,
like one of
the,
7. My dad is
the
one of
oldest
7.
one hit
I
on
got
me
a
the
lot of
big time,
cousins.
like ridiculously. Came out of the shower like totally naked and like kind of like, hey, let's do this. And it was like,
No!
we're not doing this.
Hard no. Look, like I said, my mom is one of 7. My dad is one of 7. I got a lot of cousins. They're some are in my dad's side of the family. Some are in Australia. They got that great
No
Aussie
cuties?
accent.
Any cuties?
I got a mix of boys and girls. My dad is one of 7. My mom is one of 7. They're all here in the States, but my dad's family, then I got some, my dad's family is like in Australia.
I don't need this. I don't
No,
need the
I
census.
can't. No,
Any cuties?
they're in the. No, my point to saying this is they're in the UK and they're in France, so they have great accents. But
Okay.
I cannot.
Well, it's not the size of your accent; it's how you use it.
No,
But
I cannot look at any of my cousins, first cousins, second cousins, and it's automatically not attractive. Like, how? I cannot look at them and be like,
perfect comment from Mr. Ali. Azerbaijan banned cousin marriage. The national marriage rate fell by 50%. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to assume it's true. It sounds true. Let's read this story. The NHS, which is the National Health Service of the UK, is being accused of taking the knee to political correctness by advocating the benefits of marriages between cousins, despite it carrying an increased risk of birth defects and being used as a way to oppress women. The NHS guidance, which points out that it has been allowed in the UK since Henry VIII passed a law enabling him to marry Anne Boleyn's cousin, Catherine Howard, says that cousin marriage offers benefits like stronger extended family support systems. The practice, which is common among British Pakistanis, has been linked to disorders like cystic fibrosis and sickle cell. Figures show that up to 20% of the kids treated for congenital problems in cities like Sheffield, Glasgow, and Birmingham are now I have another punk rock reference, Sex Pistols. She was a girl from Birmingham. She just had an abortion. Are of Pakistani descent, compared with 4% or lower in the wider population. And treating those problems costs the NHS billions of pounds. The guidance, released by NHS England's Genomics Education Programme, argues that although first cousin marriage is linked to an increased likelihood of a child having a genetic condition or a congenital anomaly, there are many other factors that also increase this chance. So it's like whataboutism, like parental age, smoking, alcohol, assisted reproductive technologies, none of which are banned. It claims that intermarriage offers benefits, which include stronger extended family support systems and economic advantages. Resources, property, and inheritance can be consolidated rather than diluted across households, and that banning it would stigmatize certain communities and cultural traditions. The authorities should instead offer genetic counseling, awareness raising, and public health campaigns. It also says that although kids of first cousins have an increased chance of being born, retarded, that increase is a small one. In the general population, a child's chance of being born with a genetic condition is about 2 to 3%. This goes up to 4 to 6% of children of first cousins. Therefore, most children of first cousins are healthy. By the way, that's kind of amazing, right? So you can always spin that, right? So if the risk goes from 2 to 3 to 4 to 6, well, that tells me the risk has doubled. But you could also spin it like, but that's still 94 to 96% is A-okay, right? So no worries. So funny.
Not bad.
That's hilarious. That's like, at that rate, you should play Russian roulette. Your chances are 83% you're going to come out of the first shot okay. Anyway, responding to the guidance, Tory MP Richard Holden said that the Conservatives will legislate to ban marriage between first cousins on the grounds that it destroys integration, women's rights, and the health of those involved. A poll found earlier this year found that 3/4 of Britons want such a ban. Only 9% think things should remain the way they are. The NHS guidance also argues that marriage between first cousins, known as consanguineous, marriage, has been practiced for centuries across many cultures. So has slavery. It states that UK laws allowing first cousin marriage dates back to the reign of Henry. What?
Consanguineous.
I don't think that's right. I think it's because
think so.
sanguine is the root here, right? So sanguinous, consanguinous. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Genius.
Having broken with
I don't know.
Rome, there's that how to pronounce website we could check, but who has time? Anyway, having broken with Rome in order to marry Anne Boleyn, Henry passed a new law that allowed him to marry her cousin. And that didn't cause any problems at all, except for a schism inside the creation and the fact that the entire, all of the Catholics of Great Britain were excommunicated from their religion. That was fine. No big deal. No problem.
No, do not marry your cousins. I don't care what the NHS says. Do not bang your cousins. Do not procreate with your cousins.
What if your cousin's cute, though? Then it's okay.
Okay,
wait.
Let me separate the two.
You can totally bang your cousin if you are either over 40, in which case you can't have kids, or you're
no. Okay.
Or you're using birth control.
Okay, let me separate this. Let me separate the two.
Your cousins celebrate your 40th or 45th birthdays. It's on.
Let me separate the two. Gross. If you want to bang your cousin at any age, all right. Fine. Gross. If you're of legal consenting age in whatever state, country, whatever you're from, gross. But that's on you. Do not procreate. Not procreate.
The only real argument against it is the retard factor, and you eliminate that if you get snipped or if you're old.
When I lived in Dubai.
Peter says use protection when you bang your cousin. And if I ever bang my cousin, I will use protection. I will not bang my cousin, however, because the one is dumb. She doesn't deserve sex, and the other one's mean. So
none of this ever occurred to me. Until I lived in Dubai, and Sheikh Mohammed obviously has multiple wives. His main wife, who has now abandoned him and is going through a messy divorce, she's run off to England. She's like the Princess of Jordan, right? The beautiful wife, his show wife that he trots around. He has a couple kids with her, but they're all in London right now. So that's the show wife. That's what's called. We called the show wife. His second wife, which is his main baby mama wife, is the one that produced him children that will, like, for example, Prince Feza. We call Feza because that's his nickname, his poet name. He's the crown prince. He's going to inherit Dubai once Sheikh Mohammed dies. And the girls used to think he was so dreamy, right? Like, that's one, he's the crown prince. So of course, every girl's going to find a crown prince of any country dreamy. But part of what made him actually very handsome some 20 years ago, roughly, when I lived there, was that he didn't have any genetic malfunctions going on in the womb. Okay. Because the third wife, I don't know how many wives total Sheikh Mohammed has, but wife number 3 was apparently his first cousin. And she popped out probably 6, 7, 8 babies or something like that. And 5 out of 8 of them were like cross-eyed with unibrows and teeth mangled in every direction and drooling. So they were not.
So they all look like members of Trump's cabinet.
So they were not going to be the crown prince. They were not going to inherit Dubai. So Sheikh Feza, Prince Feza, will, because he is not the child of first cousins. So that was the first time I actually saw it in real time happening in front of me, because you hear about it in America, right? You hear about it like, oh, people in Appalachia marrying their cousins, they're toothless Southerners. So like you hear about it, but here I am in glamorous Dubai. Glamorous Dubai, jewel of the desert, in a royal family. And obviously I know historically that the British royals have
shocking
fucking.
that Arabs would indulge in lascivious, strange, and depraved practices. Never heard of.
Oh, I have more stories about the other extended princes, and oh my God. But so this is Sheikh Mohammed. So I saw it for the first time, the result of cousin fucking and procreating.
He was like a one-man study.
Yes, I saw like, okay, here's his beautiful family with the Princess of Jordan. beautiful family. Okay. His second wife that produced the crown prince. Okay, good, decent looking boys. Sheikh Feza, especially good looking. And the girl swooned. Okay, get it. Then you go to the third wife that bears all the fruit, right? She has like dozens of babies. And the majority of them were all like, just drooling. Just, oh. And I went, oh, those are princes. Those are royal people. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Look at the British royal family if you want to see some.
Well, I know.
Or the Rothschilds, because when they got started, Andrew Rothschild, what he did is that in order to keep all the family's fortune in the family, he actually advocated for the cousins to marry each other, and that's still what they do today. That's how they built the family fortune. I mean, look it up.
And a lot of the English and a lot of the European royal families, they all married each other's cousins all the time, right?
Yeah. Well, Kaiser Wilhelm wasn't he the grandson, or I think he's the grandson of the Queen of England at the time, if I remember right.
Something like that is correct. Yeah, I mean,
it was just
that was normal.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Just one thing I want to kind of point out here: people always make jokes, about Southerners and inbreeding and stuff, and how the family tree up and fork it just goes straight up, and it just has a good old yeehaw and good old time about that. But then on the flip side, though, you just start importing millions of people from Central Africa that have a functional IQ of about 74. They're functionally retarded. And if you point out that's because you're screwing your cousin, then you're called racist, you're called bigot, and all this other stuff.
Well, a lot of these are the Pakistani, so not North Africans.
Well, I said Central Asians.
Oh, I heard Africa.
I heard African.
Well, maybe I'm stupid.
Yeah.
But no, there you go. But
it's that retardation we're talking about.
It is. Well, Sub-Saharan Africa has the same problem.
Central
right?
Asians, Central Asians.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is that if you point out, where if
by the way, it's part of the problem with Central Asia, Robbie, as you probably know, is that a lot of these communities in like the desert, like in northern Turkmenistan and in the mountains in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, are very remote, and these villages are often cut off from the rest of the world. So they even have a culture of, it's a big part of their culture. Like if a stranger comes into town, ideally a foreigner, they're like, hey, so listen, you think my wife's cute? And you're like, yeah, sure, she's nice. Hey, so I'd really appreciate it if you would impregnate her for me so that we can have a little genetic diversity. And that's a big thing. It's that they do that in mountainous communities in southern China.
Wow.
In Turkmenistan, while I was there one time, there was a very controversial case where a guy from Ashgabat, which is the capital, the big city, was lost in the desert during a sandstorm, and he was taken in by a local, like Bedouin type person, but they're not Bedouins, they're called something else. Anyway, he availed himself of the local hospitality and fucked the guy's wife. And then, like years later, the country bumpkin from the desert shows up and knocks on his door in Ashgabat, and he's like, hey, can I stay with you? And the guy's like, sure. And he's like, hey, can I fuck your wife? And the guy's like, no, you can't fuck my wife. It's like, dude, turnabout's fair play. So he got really pissed and he murdered the guy in Ashgabat. This was a big legal case and it's subject of a lot of controversy in Ashgabat and all throughout. It was on national television. It was like an OJ type case because it was like, murder, killing people is against the law, obviously, but it's kind of like, he had cause to be pissed. So the court ended up giving him a slap on the wrist, like 6 months in prison.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, if you're going to open up your borders and if you're going to import millions of people, maybe it's a good idea to import people from East Asia that have a high IQ population that actually know what toilet paper is, who don't screw their cousins.
We're not importing Central Asians. It's not like the country is lousy with Kyrgyz.
The British did. I mean, there's a reason why London's called Londonistan. I mean, let's be honest here. no.
because of
But-
Pakistan.
Well, that's South Asian. It's South Asian.
It's the
That's
same.
what they're called,
It's
South
the,
Asian.
They're not
it's
the
the same
same
thing.
people. Ethnically, they're not. Ethnically, they're not the same.
I understand that. But I'm just talking about, if you're going to import these people, and the reason why I'm saying Central Asian is because Pakistan is north and west of the Himalaya Mountains.
That's South Asia.
Okay, well, that's South Asians
South
then.
Asia.
We'll just
They're
keep it in the South then. I will bow to your political correctness.
Thank
The
you.
point that I'm
Yes,
trying to
so
make
our,
is
our geographical connection.
whatever.
Yes.
The point that I'm trying to
Well,
make
look,
is
look. Here's an easy way to
if
remember
you're
it,
going to-
Robbie. South Asians
Uh-huh.
mealtime consists of using fingers. East Asians, we use chopsticks.
Well, again, that's another
Easy
reason
way
why
to think of it.
that's another reason why you want to import East Asians. They understand the concept of dinnerware.
On the other hand, if you import Pakistanis and then they interbreed with, people who are already here, then you'll have genetic diversity, right? That'll actually increase the genetic diversity, including of the people who are here now.
But that's also why you have Pakistani rape gangs going around grooming little British girls that the British government then covers up. So the way that you fix this problem is mass deportations. Deport every last damned one of them. Send them back. Every
I don't know.
one
I
of
mean,
them.
genetic
Get rid of them.
diversity really
Isn't
goes
the-
against your argument, right?
Isn't the
I mean, if
mayor
you
of
need
London
genetic-
Pakistani
I mean, like the
or
most-
Indian?
Like Belize has the most genetic diversity, and like many of the Caribbean countries
Oh.
do on Earth. They're everything, man. Because the sailors came from all over the place.
Yeah, so are the
They're
Brazilians.
Spanish, Dutch, everything, and they're beautiful people, and it's just gorgeous.
People in Dominica. Same,
Yeah.
same thing. When I worked on that island, there was, believe it or not, I found like a tiny 4-building hut
And Mr.
town-
Lee
village
says he
that's
has.
Chinese
Mr.
village.
Yep, Mr. Lee says he has friends who've married their cousins. So I mean, this is not normal
In
any way,
England.
shape, or
I
form.
think
Yes.
Mr. Lee is in England. So
Yeah.
that's like
I personally know a guy who married his cousin.
first cousin.
It's legal.
Do they
It's
have-
legal in the United States, in most
Is it?
states. Oh yeah, yeah. It's
I
totally
mean, look,
fine.
I know some states
It's
have
not
some
technically
wacky
considered
ass
incest
laws.
or anything.
Oh my
It's
god.
okay. Like there's no problems with it at all. The straighter the family tree is, the better it is to everybody.
Okay.
Think of the boards that you're able to make.
I'm going to tell everybody to look this up. I don't know how I accidentally stumbled across this a couple of weeks ago, which is funny now that the news is breaking about the
And in all
UK
seriousness,
NHS.
I'm French.
Look,
Good
Hold
love.
on,
You find
hold on,
take
you
love
cut
where you
me
can
off,
find
Ed.
it. It's a hard
Cut me
word.
off.
Yeah,
Hold
go
on.
ahead. Sorry.
So what I stumbled across is apparently America's most inbred family called the Whitakers in West Virginia.
Oh, shocking.
And so I was,
Boy, you
I
gotta
don't know
burn 'em
how
now.
so I had to look.
Yeah.
And oh my God, Ted, this is like apparently 200, 300 years of family inbreeding, supposedly. The Whitakers. And
Yeah, there's an episode of the X-Files that's based on them. Where
you've
everyone's
heard of them?
inbred. Yeah. Mhm.
so this whole family is like inbred, and they have a lot of offspring from multi-generational inbreeding.
Yeah, I'm looking at
And
them
one
now.
of the
Yeah, they're
boys, Ray
monsters.
Whitaker is, as I described with some of the Emirati royals, like, eyeballs facing in different directions and teeth going in every direction. He can't even speak. He kind of makes sounds like a little yippy dog to communicate. He seems to understand what people are saying to him, but he literally makes sounds like
The moral.
he sounds like a yippy dog. Like,
He's going to be, after RFK Jr. leaves, he'll be the new HHS.
I mean, the moral of the story is that inbreeding is bad. Don't do
Well,
it.
that's true.
I mean, seriously, just don't do it. And if you're
But Robbie, seriously, open borders are a solution to inbreeding.
yeah, if you want to import a mass amount of retarded people into your country that you
Who will
then
become
can
de-retarded as soon as they interbreed.
well, no, as long as you marry out of your familial bonds. Like, yes,
Yeah.
like if you,
Okay.
for example,
Hold on.
We'll have a government ministry that pairs them off.
Okay,
there's a book I read like 20 years ago called Breeding Between the Lines by Alon Ziv, a genetics professor at UCLA. And his thesis is basically that the more multiracial you are, the more genetically healthy you are.
Yeah, well,
And
that's
he used,
obviously
for
true.
Which is
example,
true.
he used, for example, Tiger Woods, for example. He's Black and Asian, right? His parents couldn't be more genetically different, and which is why and mind you, this is from 20 years ago. He was at the height of his game, right? He's physically a physical specimen to behold, right? He's tall, he's well built, he has high intelligence, and he's obviously, like, I don't know if he's the winningest golfer,
And horny as shit.
Apparently, yes. So all of that is what you want genetically, right? Like, you want someone that can procreate and wants to procreate, and you have these amazing genes to pull from. So Alon Ziv, Professor Ziv, talks about all of this, about how marrying outward is the best way for humanity to survive.
Well, then the way that you do this then is colonization. The British and the French had it right. So what you do is that you go to these countries that are by definition shitholes because of all the inbreeding. Then what you do is that you then spread your seed where they are, because those countries are the ones
the
that
Brits
need the
didn't do
genetic
that, though.
diversity.
It was against the rules for the Brits to do that.
Oh, really?
Well,
Yeah,
well,
they weren't allowed
They
to
couldn't- they didn't- I thought they had
partake in the
concubines.
local delicacies. I
Well,
mean, they
well,
raped them and sneak around, but they weren't supposed to.
okay. Well, please
Oh.
don't tell that to my forefathers who came over in the 1600s, because they did that with the Indians that were living here. But the point that I'm trying to make
Yeah, that's
is
different. That's totally different.
well,
The people who came here.
well,
they
the
weren't
13
like
colonies were a British colony.
I
I'm
know.
sorry, the French lost. The French, y'all got your butts kicked. Deal with it. I know it's a sore subject, but it is what it is. But the point that I'm trying to make is that asking a society
French will
that
be back.
has, yeah, sure, they lost to the Haitians. I'm not worried about you. But the point that I'm trying to make is importing hundreds of thousands or millions of people who are functionally retarded into a first world society is a surefire way to make sure that your society becomes a third world shithole. That is a fact of life.
That's not what's happening.
That's 100.
Society's becoming a third
No,
world
he's
shithole
saying
I'm
Robbie's
talking
talking
about-
about law in the
I'm talking about
UK.
capitalism.
I'm talking about Britain. I'm talking about
Right.
the
Robbie's
English
talking
particular.
specifically about in the UK, how the NHS, this is the first step in trying to normalize the cultural acceptance of what came out of a third world country, essentially. That's what Robbie's saying.
This is the point that I'm making. So you're having all these people with all these genetic flaws who are function retarded, and then you're having to take care of them. You're having to educate them, and a lot of these people can't educate because what's the word? They're retarded. So then they become wards of the British state. They get put on welfare. They
Do the
then they go
Brits
to
have
London,
homes?
and then if
Do
you
the
point
Brits
this
have,
out, well,
like,
the
nut
migrants,
houses and stuff,
well,
or-
the migrants, they get hotels to get to stay in. I mean,
Well, no,
they
that's
get
America. I know, but like,
no.
you
I'm
know
talking
how
about in
we've
Britain.
done away with our asylums here in the U.S. Do the British still have that? Do they have like homes for like mentally unwell?
What they're doing is that they are actually putting them up in hotels, Manila. They're putting up in hotels. That's what they're doing. Fact check me on this.
No, I'm talking specifically
The
about
answer
these
to your
children.
question, Manila, is no. They got rid of them
Yeah,
in
Oh.
the
they
same way
don't-
that we got rid of ours.
Yeah, they don't have nut houses because
Oh.
it's a stigmatism. You can't put a crazy person into a crazy house because then you stigmatize them. So instead you send them out
Well,
onto the
also,
street,
honestly, it
so
makes
that
them
way they can
worse.
attack people and rape people.
And it also
Well,
makes
no,
them
they're
worse.
throwing feces at you on the street, like here in DC.
Well, then what you do is that you round them all up. I'm about to tell the Brits how to fix their problem. You send every last man, woman, and child of them back to Pakistan, and you say you don't get to come back here. Britain should be
Robbie,
a British
there's a
nation. It is not a Pakistani colony.
Robbie, England was an empire.
Uh-huh.
They at force of arms, they conquered what is today Pakistan, which was the
whole
Indian Raj.
Indian, yeah.
It was the Raj, and then after. So the point is that England can't go around taking over half the world and then saying wash their hands of it and say fuck you. We have no responsibility for you guys.
Sure.
If you're Pakistani, you have every right to go to the UK.
Well,
Just
the
like,
hell you
if
say?
you're Algerian, you have every right to go to France. France conquered you. You should be able to go back to the homeland,
The
to the mother
people
country.
The people of Europe have no obligation whatsoever to commit suicide, which is what you're advocating for right now on the altar of political correctness. So, counterpoint. The British brought a longer life expectancy to the people of Africa and South and Central Asia. That is a fact. The British brought them education. They brought them running
the Indians
water.
brought
They
first good food to England that the England should have ever seen.
they brought rape gangs to Birmingham. They
A small
owe them
price to pay for
nothing.
that good food.
They owe them nothing.
I love
Deport
Indian food.
every last man, woman, and child of them. Close your borders. And if you see something so much as a sampan trying to go to your island, you blow that damn boat up. You sink it. You send it to the North Sea.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Robbie, I think a lot of those Pakistanis are legal, though. They're not illegal
Who the hell
migrants.
cares?
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
legal.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
The
Send them all
mayor of
back.
Of course it
London,
matters.
the mayor of
Send them
London
back.
is
No, it doesn't.
Pakistani.
Hold on, because again, I'm talking about culturally enriching the nation. I'm talking about cultural enrichment here. Pakistan suffers because it has a low population. It has a high population, low education society. True or false?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
so
it was
then-
raped by the British
Okay.
colonialists.
Horseshit. So then here's how you fix this problem. So to fix this problem, you send all these highly educated, wonderful people back to Pakistan with this world-class British education so they can rebuild the country from which they came from. That is the restitution you're looking for. The people of France, the people of Spain, the people of Britain have no obligation to commit suicide on the altar of political correctness.
I don't
No.
think you have a right to go take over and rape the rest of the world and then say to those people, "Oh, we don't owe you anything."
I just gave you the answer. You educate the population,
Well, look,
send the educated population
Why-
back, and let them fix their country.
Why is it such a like? I think fine if you're there legally, but like
They're
be
fucking
whatever
their
race
cousins,
you are, what
Manila.
ethnicity. No, listen. If you're there legally, whatever. This is not a
Uh-huh.
question of immigration at this point. But I think if you're there from whatever country, when
Mm-hmm.
you go to that country that you're going to, like my family came from Laos, my family
Mm-hmm.
ultimately came from China. They adapted to Laos when they went to Laos, and when they left Laos, they came to the U.S. When they
Uh-huh.
came to the U.S., they adapted to the U.S. and they
Clearly that's
accepted
expected.
cultural norms
That's
in the
expected.
70s,
Well, that's-
right? They came
well,
to the
that's
U.S.
Like
in
if
the
you
70s.
Manila, it's
if you
because your
move to
family doesn't.
Afghanistan, you should wear a burqa.
Well, Manila, it's because your family doesn't come from a society that says fucking your cousin is okay. That's
Yeah,
why.
but my point
Oh,
is,
I don't know if
whatever
that's true. I
society they
bet
come
cousin
from,
fucking happened in Laos back in the day.
it happens everywhere, but it's not a norm. No, I'm
But it's
telling
not a
you,
societal norm. Is the point that I'm
it's
making?
not a societal norm. They
It
are
was.
against it.
Robbie,
My point
it's only
is,
in the last 100 years
hold
that
on,
it's even
hold
been
on.
something that people look
My
sidelong
point
at
here
here
is,
in the West.
my point
It was
here,
totally
hold on.
normal.
Stop, pause. My point here is to both of you boys, and I'm going to fucking mute both of you so you don't interrupt me. My whole point to this is the normalization of this shit in the UK is because everyone's trying to be so sensitive to every culture that's coming in from everywhere else, rather than saying, if you're a culture coming to our country, you should adapt to our cultural norms. That's the real problem, not the immigration. It's that you've become too culturally sensitive to everybody and their mamas from wherever the hell they're from, they're fucking Antarctica or wherever the fuck they're from. Like, they should adapt to that culture that you're choosing to emigrate to. Like, if you're emigrating there, like to whatever country, whether it's the US, whether it's here, if you're coming, then you should adopt that new culture and that new way of life while
Agreed.
still cherishing your own.
Agreed.
I completely agree. And here's the point. You just made my case. There is nothing wrong with a multiracial society. Multiracial societies are fine. They're a beautiful thing. Racism is stupid. The problem comes up whenever you start trying to impose this thing called multiculturalism. There's no such thing as a multicultural society. One culture always dominates the other one. That is a statement of fact going back 6,000 years of human history. All people are created equal in the sight of God. Okay, fine. I grant you that. I believe that. I'm married to a black woman. I have no problem with racial mixing, none whatsoever. That being said, some cultures are better than others. If your culture says, if you draw a picture of my pedophile goat fucking prophet who was a slave trader and a warlord, that I'm going to kill you because you blasphemed him, I'm sorry, your culture sucks. It's inferior. If your culture says it's okay to screw goats or to bang your cousin, I'm sorry, your culture sucks. If that's
No
what you
culture
want,
says it's okay
go back to
fuck
where.
goats. Just say.
Well, take whatever. The
Just
point
being
I'm trying
clear
to
here.
the point I'm trying to make is, if that's what you want, then please go back to the Bedouin tent from which you were spawned and enjoy your life. If you want a society that values free speech, rigid debate, being able to put a crucifix in a bottle of urine, which I find repugnant, but I'm not going to attack you for it, then welcome to the West. Glad to have you. I will tell you about Jesus, and then we can agree to disagree. I'm not going to blow you up like the Islamists did at Charlie Hebdo. Islam is not compatible with the West. It is a cultural difference. That is a statement of fact.
Guys,
just like
I
Judaism
hate to say
is
this,
not
but we can,
like this.
This conversation is based on a false premise.
Sure, no, it's not.
That our culture is different in this respect. As of last year, 19 American states fully allow first cousin marriage. 17 states, 17 states fully permit it, and 7 states allow it under certain conditions, such as genetic counseling.
But here's
there's age restrictions in states like Arizona and Illinois. So
here's the difference, though.
Legal,
Here's the difference.
it's legal to cut off your penis if you want. Just because it's legal to cut off your dick if you want, but most people aren't going to do that.
By the way, you can, and the states you're allowed to marry your cousins in, it will surprise you. I thought it would be the red states because, you know, the Southern jokes and all that stuff, but that's incorrect. Actually, it's the big Eastern and it's the liberal states, California, like New York, Virginia, like Florida, also, let's see, Alabama, Georgia, Maine, Massachusetts, but also New Mexico and Colorado, which are relatively liberal Western states. So it's a liberal thing, actually.
I live in Montana, Lee. I touch lots of grass.
Most people live in states where you're allowed to marry your cousin.
But here's the point.
So if you're talking about our culture, American culture is we're cousin fuckers all the way.
But here's the point, though, that I'm trying to make, Ted, is that if your cousin fuckers grow up where you live and they just and they're born there, they spawn, like if you're in Kentucky or Tennessee or whatever, okay, that it is what it is. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you import, that is the word, import, not homespawn, if you import hundreds of thousands of people from a culture from which this is legal, and it is not illegal, but it is perfectly fine. It is accepted. It is encouraged, as you read.
It's totally legal.
We just read that.
I'm worried that we might be
contaminated. It's not encouraged.
We're
not
encouraged. The pure Pakistanis are being polluted by us cousin fuckers.
It's not encouraged.
Then they can stay
Everyone
where
in
they
the
came
state of California, where Manila's from, they're all fucking each other's cousins and marrying.
No, we're not. It's not encouraged.
Every last one. Nobody. In fact, you're not even allowed to be married not to.
I don't know one person that has even kissed their cousin, much less fuck their cousin.
No, they've been balls deep
much
in
less
their
having
cousins.
babies with their cousin. So
there's a
and you know, all the Mexicans I know, they all come from like 15 children families, and none of them were banging their primos. Okay, none of them.
You don't know that.
I have a lot of close friends, and none of them.
Here's the point I'm trying to make. If your cousin fucker is born here because they come from some big,
from LA,
it is what it is.
East
right?
LA, they say, is ground zero for cousin fucking.
I'm gonna go with God. No, do as you will. The point that I'm trying to make is that throwing open your borders with a welfare state where you're importing massive numbers of these people, with all the problems that brings, that's probably not a good idea financially and for social cohesion. That's all I'm saying.
Look, they're trying to normalize this the way they're trying to normalize maps. You guys know what maps are?
Your argument
you know what maps are, Ted?
What?
Do you know what maps are? Maps? Do you know that?
Attractive peoples. They're pedophiles.
Yes. They're trying to normalize cousin fucking and having cousin babies the same way they're trying to normalize maps.
It's normal here. It's legal in most of the country.
Not acceptable.
Right?
Okay, Ted, I'm going to speak really slowly so you understand. I know you're a communist, so I'm going to slow this
And
down.
also,
because
I
you're
was,
allowed
and
to
also my
doesn't mean you
parents were
should.
cousins.
All right, so
Gross.
here's what I'm trying to. So I'll talk really slowly then.
Mm-hmm.
Importing a crap ton of people who
Who
encourage
share the same
cousin fucking,
exact values that we.
then you probably should not do that if you have a welfare state, especially if that country, if the people they're coming from have an average IQ of 70. It's not a good idea. It's not a good look. If you got to have massive immigration, then maybe you should import people from Laos or Taiwan or China or Japan. No, people understand the concept of toilet paper, or who know what a shower is, or who won't kill you for drawing a
We're just going to try to
political
make
cartoon.
you use chopsticks, Robbie. We're just going to
Okay,
try
all
to
right.
make you use
This
chopsticks.
conversation needs
Okay.
to-
Okay. Real
needs-
fast.
we
The
need to
last one.
wrap it up.
Speaking
Wait,
of
we
low
don't have time for
IQ.
that. This is already a 90-minute show, Manila.
Speaking of low IQ, this is just because it ties in.
Oh my
On a
God.
visit to New Zealand, the
keep going.
FBI director, Kash Patel, gave the country's police and spy bosses gifts of inoperable pistols that are illegal to possess under local gun laws and had to be destroyed. New Zealand law enforcement agencies talking to the Associated Press. The plastic 3D printed replica pistols formed part of display stands that Patel presented to at least 3 senior New Zealand security officials back in July. Patel, the most senior Trump administration official to visit the country so far, was in Wellington to open the FBI's first standalone field office in New Zealand. Pistols are tightly restricted weapons under the New Zealand law, and possessing one requires an additional permit beyond regular gun licenses. Law enforcement agencies didn't specify whether the officials who met with Patel held such permits, but they could have legally kept the gifts if they didn't. It wasn't clear what permissions Patel had sought to bring the weapons into the country. A spokesperson for Patel told the AP Tuesday that the FBI would not comment on this. And inoperable weapons are treated as though they're operable in New Zealand if modifications could be made to make them workable. The pistols were judged by gun regulators to be potentially operable and were later destroyed, according to the police commissioner. So
I think it's safe
that's
to
not
assume that
smart.
Kash Patel is inbred. I mean, look at his eyes.
I think that's
Kash Patel is the product of inbreeding. Look at the guy.
That's
I mean,
true.
seriously. Just
Well, he is.
wild.
He's definitely an imbecile. And New Zealand is famous for its
For his
gun
gun control.
laws.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's kind of like if you don't know it, you should find it out. I mean, nobody told him. Like, dude, you can't bring guns to fucking New Zealand.
You much less a ghost gun. So that's the
No.
perfect way to cap off. Like, is he inbred? Maybe.
Yes.
Don't know.
Look at his
Clearly not that
eyes.
smart.
Look
I
at the
know,
dude's eyes.
He's like, I don't know what it is about his eyes, but something ain't right.
Cousin fucking.
ain't
Manila. It's cousin fucking. That's what happened. Okay.
Oh.
Look at your example about the Crown Prince of Dubai and his spawn. Cousin fucking. That's how you get that.
I don't know.
Let's be honest.
I don't know.
That is what this is.
I don't know.
Okay,
Before
but,
we go, Robbie, do we have any last ad that we have to get to?
I'm sure we do, because we've been talking about porn and cousin fucking and all kinds of things.
and-
I'm sure that Rumble has just
God.
loved this conversation.
I know.
I'm
The
sure they do.
algorithms love the words porn and sex and fucking, and like it just does. Like,
Goat fucking, cousin fucking, it's all good. Okay, so here we go. Ready to level up your game? AIM Controllers is where custom meets unbeatable value, and right now it's the best deal of the year. We start with official Sony and Xbox controllers, fully compatible with console and PC. No functionality lost. When you go wild with custom features, smart bumpers, paddles, grips, stick heights, custom buttons, and even design your own PS5 snap panels. And here's the part no one else is doing. Lifetime warranty on all modified parts. That's right, lifetime. What other company does that? Exactly. Normally, a fully loaded setup could cost you $400, but during a one-price promo, it's just $209 or 182 euros, no matter how many features you add. Use code RUMBLE at checkout and lock it in. This is your sign. Go to aimcontrollers.com and build the last controller you'll ever need. And I can guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee you that they were not built by people who screw their cousins. So they will work.
I don't know that.
I can't guarantee that.
All
I'm
right.
going to assume it's true, though.
Okay, we'll just assume that's true. I don't know. But all right, so we're way over. I guess you guys are really passionate about fucking cousins one way or the other.
It's part of America's basic culture.
It's not part of the culture. It's just because it's allowed doesn't mean that it's encouraged.
Scott on YouTube says this is a ridiculous racist conversation. In New York City, is there Italian culture, Irish culture, Chinese? Are they making New York commit suicide? The answer is yes. There are specific cultures for specific people. The difference is that some groups assimilate, some groups don't.
That's
yes,
true.
culture's a thing. If you don't like it, that's not my problem. That's a you problem. That ain't a me problem.
So yeah, I'm the product of an assimilated immigrant family from the 70s.
Yeah, me too. My mother's from France.
But you're from a Western culture. Mine's from an Eastern culture, which is very different. Even our utensils are different. Our spoons, by the way, are superior.
Culture and race are different. Just to make this clear before we go away, I have no problem whatsoever with a multiracial society at all. None. No problem with it at all. The problem I have is this whole idea of multiculturalism. That's the problem. It is a suicide. It is suicidal. It's a toxin, and it needs to be ended.
I can see the point. I can honestly see that argument. Like I get what you're saying. I get what you could be any color. It doesn't matter. Either you assimilate or this culture thing. So I get
when I went to Brazil, I did my absolute best to learn Portuguese, and I dated this girl, black lady, blonde hair, green eyes, most gorgeous woman I ever saw in my life. And I would have married her if I'd been allowed to have stayed in Brazil. I wasn't, because Brazil, unlike America, is a serious country. The point I'm trying to make is that culture is a thing. Race is a thing. They are two separate things. You can assimilate where is it you go, but you can't change the color of your skin. If that offends you, suck an egg.
I mean, I'm very torn about that, because I mean, look, Robbie's point is well taken, right? I mean, obviously, a society is not going to function well. It's going to be tribalistic. Let's say, for example, half the country speaks one language and half the country speaks another language, and they don't speak each other's language. That's a problem. I mean, you're not going to be able to communicate. Your society's not going to work. On the other hand, if you're like Afghanistan, where it's a tribalistic society, but everybody speaks 5 to 8 languages, they all speak each other's languages, right? I mean, if you're Afghan, you definitely speak, Dari and probably Uzbek and so on. So Pashto for sure. And so then there's a richness. It's like a quilt. So, but I mean, I think what's sad is like the idea that, you can't really expect new immigrants to assimilate overnight. And the way this country generally works is the second generation always assimilates fully. It's the first generation that has trouble for obvious reasons.
When my family came here in the 70s, America under Jimmy Carter still had in place this whole integration program where they teach you about like American culture and norms, and this is a famous TV show. This is Dallas, they taught them things like that. So my mom was like, oh, soap operas, oh, okay, oh, these are TV dinners, oh, that's what this is. Oh, okay, this is what you do with the microwave. It's little dumb things like that, little home ec courses that taught my immigrant parents what typical Americana was like in the 1970s. So out comes me, and I had no problem being American outside the doors and being Asian behind closed doors.
You were younger and your brain was more malleable and all that.
Sure. Yeah. So, there's that. We don't have those programs anymore because now it's flipped on its head, and America is forced to accept every other culture and never embracing its own, whatever that may have been.
Never embracing our own. I mean,
we reject our own now. What is Americana? Now we're we're everybody. We're everything. Okay, we're not English. We're not apple pie anymore. We're not these things that are like very foundational Americana, just typical stereotype American. Whatever my family was taught in the 1970s, they don't do that anymore because now everybody needs to yield to whatever you brought with you.
Well, that's the problem with the welfare state, right? Because if you don't have a welfare state, if you want to survive in a country, and I know we're going way over, we're just screw it. We're just gonna keep on going. In order to assimilate, in order to make a living, you have to at least learn the language and at least try to fit in to the greater culture.
Which my
So-
family did.
Well, that's why you're successful. That's the point. That's not a controversial or racist thing to say. At least it shouldn't be. If you go to
Agreed.
live in another country, if
You go to
you're
France,
not willing,
you learn
yeah,
French.
if you're not willing to assimilate,
Oh, it's
like for
required.
example,
It's
if
not
you're
allowed. You can't move. If you're not allowed to, they won't let you in France if you don't.
but
If
that's
you
the
don't learn
point that
French, right?
but that's the point I'm making though. Like in England, they don't have no. England's not like that. Here in the United States, it's not like that. And that's why you're seeing all these divisions. That's why you're seeing the breakdown. And then
Look,
with
I
the
agree
welfare
with- for
state,
example, I
you don't
don't
have to assimilate.
I do not understand why
I make no.
driver's license application should be in a language other than English.
Yeah.
Because how the fuck are you going to drive and read the signs if
You
you
can't.
can't fucking read English, right?
You can't. And that's the
Right.
point that I'm making. And
I
the point
bet the
that
Chinese driver's license application is only in Chinese. I'm
Yeah,
sure of it.
oh, I'm sure there is. And the point that I'm trying to make is, and you call me racist or a bigot, I do not care what you call me. I do not care. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you're going to immigrate to another country, if you're not willing to assimilate, then leave.
If you don't like the cultural norms of that country you've gone to, it is what it is. And instead, the UK NHS is doing the exact opposite of that, Robbie. And that's what
I know.
our point of this whole conversation was that the NHS is trying to normalize cousin fucking and having genetically messed up children.
On the altar of diversity and inclusion.
Yes.
And I say, screw that.
Exactly.
Go back to the
That's
shithole
exactly it.
that you came from. Crawl back to your Bedouin tent and screw a camel. I said it. I do not care. Go home.
As long as the camel is not related to you as a first cousin.
Enjoy. Listen, if you're in Pakistan, do as you will. Stick it in a knot hole in the fence if you
By
can
the way,
find one.
camels are ornery. I don't think anyone could really fuck a camel.
Gross.
They're mean
We're
as
not
shit.
opening that can of worms.
You know,
Then find a
camel,
And good
camels
luck,
are not-
everybody.
they're not-
Hey, find a
No.
sheep.
No,
Then
camels are
find
not
a sheep.
really
They're docile. Find yourself a
not
sheep and
domesticated.
go to town.
They're tamed. Like a camel will not come home. If you don't keep it tied up, it will just leave and never come
Oh
home.
my God.
Then
Good
find
night and
yourself
good
a
luck
sheep.
to all. This is what the fuck is thank you, everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Fuck your
From the
cousin.
TMI
Have fun.
show.
Bye.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
Bye,
yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
Thank
want to.
you.